All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into it because we got this thing recording and people are going to be joining us, I'm sure, over the time. All right, so we have Paul and we have Aaron from Arcol today, and I'm so excited to have Arcol come in here, tell us a little bit more about their product, about what's coming up, about what's already happened, because just this month, right? Was it just a couple of weeks ago that you guys officially launched Arcol to the public?
2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks.
17 days. Yeah.
17 days ago, and you guys look all of it. 17
Yeah,
days
the
in.
flags under my eyes are
17,
evident.
17 days into
That's just how I look.
the public launch, looking absolutely beautiful, just like you've got a publicly available product now. So that's really awesome to see. I know you guys are doing a lot, and I'm personally excited because I've been working with Arcol, or we've been partnering for like over 2 years now, and so to see the product finally get launched to the public is really exciting. I feel like I've seen so many different demos over the years, and so to have a chance to jump down and talk about it is going to be great. But Paul is the CEO of Arcol, and Aaron is the head of growth at Arcol. So, I mean, Paul, first, just jump in and tell us a little bit about Arcol and why it exists and what the heck you are doing building a design tool without an architecture background.
Yeah, I mean, the reason Arcol exists is pretty simple. I think we describe Arcol as a modern collaborative building design tool. And the idea really was like the tools that our industry runs on. The construction industry is the most important industry in the entire world. Design is incredibly, like you cannot build anything in the world without designing it. Yet the design tools are forced to use fucking suck. They are 20 plus years old. They live in the desktop. They're not collaborative. Yet our industry has become far more collaborative than it was 2 decades ago when these tools are built. And so I started Arcol with the vision of like, what would our industry look like if your authoring was actually collaborative and it lived in the browser? That was a pretty simple idea. And to your point, I'm not an architect by training. I grew up in this industry. So my dad's an architect. I spent my early career building design tools, I originally as a game developer, pivoted that into building design tools for large companies. Most of it was solving kind of AEC focused problems, and realized, why am I fiddling around building plugins or tools on top of these other platforms? I want to go solve the actual problem. That's the TLDR version of who we are and why I'm doing.
Good. Yeah. So you've witnessed and experienced the pain and the challenges of architects over, it sounds like, your entire life, especially when it comes to
pretty much
collaboration and changing workforce. That's awesome. Aaron, what brought you over to Arcol?
Yeah. So I've been working in tech pretty much forever. And I think the companies that I have worked for that have always been the most exciting to me have been collaborative softwares. So like Slack has been a career highlight for me. I spent a number of years there. And I think the same principles that I saw at Slack of getting out of email inbox silos, bringing people into channels, and how that changes how different teams work. That was kind of the pitch that Mike, actually our head of product at Arcol, gave me when he talked about what Arcol is capable of doing. And so I started to learn a little bit more about architecture and the space and what Arcol is trying to do. And it was just like this makes a lot of sense moment. So that was kind of how I got involved in Arcol. And my role here is kind of a little bit all over the place. It's a little bit of product, it's a little bit of onboarding, making it easy to use, and also doing a whole bunch of go-to-market, sales, marketing type functions. So I do a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, just true startup. And you guys are, I mean, Paul, I can't even, I mean, I feel like 2 years ago when we first started working, like partnering together, there was like 3 or 4 people maybe at Arcol. I don't know how many people are there now. Seems like you've grown a lot lately.
Yeah, well, look, we raised a large round of financing last summer. Our total financing to date is about $20 million. Yet our team is really small. For that amount of capital, our team is still really small. We're a team of, I always fuck this up. We are 13.
I thought you were counting them on the side there. I'm like, they're not all there.
They're all standing on screen. They're all standing right here. We are somewhere between 12 and 15 people.
Okay.
And a big part of Arcol's thesis has been, there's a lot of like technical foundation we got to build. And a core part of how we think of building this product is that it's beautiful and gorgeous and well crafted. And so how we think about building the team is that at the scale we're at today, we need to be a small, lean team that's just fucking world class. And everyone that we've been able to work with is either ex-Figma, ex-Google, like really represents world-class engineering. We also have people like Aaron who just are here and not necessarily world-class. But I had to do it. Come on, I had to do it.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
to do that.
That was like, you perfectly somehow teed yourself up for that.
I know,
That was,
but I do.
yeah.
Anyway, to answer your question, we've grown quite a bit. We're going to go even more, but given how much capital we've raised and the kind of customers we serve, we're still a small team, and that's purposeful. It's really, really important.
Yeah. Well, I finally got to jump in, and actually we've only talked about this a little bit, but I forgot to mention at the beginning. So it is available to the public. So what's that mean? It means there's a free link to join. You can go and try Arcol for free, like literally right now. So I think Aaron's probably gonna drop that link in if he hasn't already, into the chat. But like, just go sign up for free. You get to try it out. I did it first time this morning. Now I've seen probably a handful of demos, I think, over the year of Arcol. So I finally went through the process, signed up. You're literally immediately able to jump in and start trialing Arcol. And there was some tutorials immediately right away that I was just telling Aaron and Paul about right before we jumped on. I walked through, I want to say there's 3 or 4 tutorials, but I got through all of them in about 5 or 10 minutes. Like it was a quick way to jump in. And then I opened up my own project and started moving through. And there's a few things that I noticed immediately. One, the last time that I was regularly using BIM of any kind was just a couple of years ago, when I was still doing some work on the side for architecture, and it was in Revit. And even with like very small files, Revit still feels so slow. And immediately what I noticed with Arcol is how ridiculously fast it is. Like, it's web based. It was blowing my mind a little bit because it's web based and it's so fast and so clean, and there is absolutely zero lag. So well done on whatever and however that works on the back end, because that was shocking to me. So like, not having any lag in a collaborative software, in a collaborative design software that's literally on the web, wild. I can't believe that that happened. I think the main thing for me that I want to see like improved, right, is going to be the boards. Those, like, I just want layouts. Like, I just want like predefined layouts or templates or things that I can like quickly drop things into. Or since it's already there, like, it would be kind of cool if it was already set up for standard projects or for standard presentations with these templates and with the standard views or something like that. That was a big one. And then I did run into like a couple of things. Actually, you know what? There's this thing that I keep on seeing on all of the screenshots where the contextual buildings, you guys, they're just floating. You know what I mean? That line between the building and the ground is missing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Map buildings and the terrain.
Here, I'm going to show you. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, show me. Yeah.
We're gonna pull it up because I was just doing it right before.
I love the templates on boards idea, by the way. That has been on my list for a little while. That's something I definitely want to build. I can show you how you can make your own templates, but I have some ideas around that.
I'm trying to find the right tab because apparently I've got 50 of them open. Desktop 1. So that is the one that I want to share. Yes.
Maybe Tyler, while you're doing that, let me just give a little bit of context on the product, because we just kind of talked through the mission, not necessarily where the product is today. So as we started Arcol with the idea of what if you could rethink all your authoring tools with the browser and real-time collaboration at their core. You know, some have called that kind of killing Revit, Figma for BIM, all this stuff. I think we think of this as a tool where you can go from concept to construction documentation. Obviously, as a business and as a product, that is going to take a long time and frankly a lot of capital for us to go and build. And so how we think about getting there is sequencing actually against the delivery. We think about our roadmap as early concept and feasibility, because your job at that point is to deliver something to the owner to get fucking paid to win the piece of work. And then in North America, you know, it's kind of SD, DD, and CD as the next chunks of our product. And so where Arcol is today is this early feasibility stage tool, and we've combined allow you to collaborate with all those stakeholders at that stage, not just for the architects, but owners and GCs. And we've combined design, your data, and your deliverable. And so what Tyler's talking about in this boards environment is our kind of version of how you do deliverables, which is an infinite canvas where you can make presentations. All those views that you see are live link. We'll jump into this in the in the demo. But just for context, Arcol is really at that early concept feasibility stage. And it's our job to build out more and more over time so we can actually displace tools like Revit, but that's not what the product is today.
Could be. Eventually, I think it's going to happen. See, I'm playing with this right now. I actually don't know how to get back into the 3D view. So you tell me.
On the left sidebar, you just click views. There's a views folder. There's 3D there.
Oh, I can just click.
Those are
It's
your
a
views.
big button that says 3D.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, settle down, Aaron.
Sorry.
I mean this. So these buildings are floating. You see what I mean? Like there's not a hard line like there is here at the other edges. The buildings just float.
Is that because it's on terrain?
It's in the terrain. Yeah. So this is one of the GIS services that we pull for you. We'll go through it in the demo, but unlike most kind of tools you're using at this early stage, we actually give you all the context. So you can set a project location. We pull in site context, we pull in terrain, we pull in the underlay image, and we get all that from open data sources like OpenStreetMaps and Mapbox, and we use services like Regrid for site parcels. And so what you're seeing is it's that 3D terrain with the building set into them. I guess that's a long-winded way of saying that's not our fault. Blame Mapbox.
I'll blame them, but I mean, here I'm gonna dip it off to you guys after this to talk about what BIM 2.0 is. But like, this is just wild to me how fast this thing is. Like, this is just a thing that I went in here to build. I think I picked some kind of like random site over here in Charlotte, which is where I live, and put up a building really quick. But I cannot believe how fast this thing is. That's the thing that blows my mind, I think, the most out of all of it. Like, this is just ridiculously fast. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can jump in. But yeah, so many good things. It would be really cool because I know that you were talking about how we've talked before, Paul, about how because of the ability to kind of accelerate this feasibility process with Arcol, and not just accelerate it, but make it much more clear, make it much more accurate, provide the right metrics, make it more collaborative so that the people that are part of the project can actually jump in. What this is leading to is people actually winning more work, right? And so having, some kind of templates around like how to best present these feasibility studies to developers or to different markets, I think would be amazing, based on the information and data that you guys now have.
Totally.
All right, that's my 2 cents. I don't have too much to rip apart other than that.
It's good feedback. I'll take it.
So let's talk about this term that I keep on seeing literally everywhere, and I have no idea what it means. BIM 2.0. What is this?
What is BIM 2.0?
Yeah.
I think it represents the movement of, look, if you go back a decade, it wouldn't have been standard to have conversations like Revit is dead. What does the future of Revit look like? I think what BIM 2.0 represents is that clearly that's where the industry feels like we're headed, where the future of authoring and BIM, whatever BIM means to you, doesn't feel like it is Revit. And so BIM 2.0 represents a movement of startups that are kind of forming their opinion of what the future of authoring should look like, with the end result being they want to displace tools like Revit. Some common themes in there is like, it's clear that you should be cloud first. You shouldn't have to deal with files like you do in Revit. You should have native collaboration, like real-time collaboration, like you have in tools like Google Docs or Miro or Figma. And then every other company takes their spin on what BIM 2.0 means, but it's really a representation of startups going after the core authoring tool of our industry. It's a super, super exciting now to be building tools in our industry because it feels like there's real change. Again, if you go back a decade, didn't really feel like that. It kind of just felt like Autodesk was the future, and BIM 2.0 represents a movement that maybe that's not the case.
And I think you're right.
And just sorry, one final note on that. Even just if you look at like BIM 2.0, just over the last 12 months, the movement has become far more serious. Like there are companies that have real financing, like real cash behind them. There are companies that have gotten really high quality talent, like Arcol. That this isn't just there's some companies fiddling around saying they're going to go kill Revit. This feels far more practical than it did even just 12 months ago. And again, our product is early in that life cycle, where you can like very clearly see how with enough time and care and love, this product expands into actually being quote unquote BIM 2.0.
Okay. Aaron, were you going to say something before I jump?
Well, I was just going to say so we were at Next Dev and Next Build last week in London, and the whole panel was around BIM 2.0. And Paul was saying, there's, I think, 5 or 6 different startups that were on that panel talking about it. And I think the interesting thing is like BIM 2.0 isn't like a solid definition right now, because once you get past the okay, the future of the industry is not going to be Revit. I think pretty much everybody agrees on that. Everybody has a different spin of what that means. Therefore, has a different definition of what BIM 2.0 means. And we can talk about what that means for Arcol, but I think it's a deliberately loose term right now that can't be really tied down because of that.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because Paul, when you were talking, I was thinking the same thing. There are, probably every architect now sees just a slew of potential options on there. And I think everyone's trying to wonder, because no architect really necessarily wants to, I would say, add to their software stack, right? If anything, they want to consolidate in some way and accelerate and kind of optimize whatever that stack is. So I'm curious, out of this entire category now of loosely defined BIM 2.0, what makes Arcol different?
We're the best.
Next question. The only thing you need to say after that is next question. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's lots of commonalities. Like I said, I think one of the things that we care a lot about, and I actually don't think we should talk about how we're different to competitors. Frankly, that doesn't make a difference. What should matter is how we're bringing value to users. And one of the ways to think about this is that the future of our industry should be far more collaborative. The silos that we have, where you kick a PDF over to the owner or you hand a model over to the GC for estimating, you should be bringing these people into a single environment. And I can talk for hours about why that's important and valuable to the industry, but that is a very different kind of a BIM 1.0 world versus BIM 2.0 world. That is very different as to how those two industries could look. And that is something that we really deeply care about. We care about the future of our industry being far more collaborative than it's ever been. I don't really give a shit, frankly, what other BIM 2.0 companies say. It's something that we care a lot about. And it's something you'll see in the product today. It actually works. We're bringing it to this early concept feasibility stage. You can layer on cool stuff like agentic workflows into that and how that becomes important. But the core principle in how we think about the future of BIM 2.0 is collaboration should be at its core. It shouldn't be a nice to have. It's a must have.
And I think the one thing that I'll piggyback onto that too is and it was actually, I hate to give Paul credit, but I will have to give him credit on this one small thing. He corrected me last week when we were talking about this to say it's not just that AEC is the most collaborative industry in the world. That fact is true. It's that the tools that they use are not collaborative. And so the collaboration is going to happen regardless. You have to, by nature of how you get paid as an architect, give something to somebody else. That's happening. How you do that is kind of the magic and the piece that we want to focus on in Arcol. And I think, again, I don't want to get into competitors and all that stuff either, but nailing that workflow, what you get paid for is collaborating with others. That's what we're trying to focus on. And that's what shows up in our product.
Let's dive deeper into what that means, because I feel a little bit like, Aaron, what you were talking about, how BIM 2.0 is kind of a loose term. Collaborative is kind of a loose term, especially for you guys building a collaborative tool and collaborative workflow for, to your point, an industry that doesn't have it. Right? So what does that mean? What does it mean to be building a collaborative tool?
Well, I think I want to push back on the framing of the question, because yes, the industry doesn't have it, but the industry has tried to make it work. Look at the most adopted tool in the last 4 years in our industry. It's Miro. And the reason it's Miro is because firms realized, shit, there's this thing called COVID where we can't all be in the office together, and I can't just go up to someone's desk and ask them what they're doing. So we're going to kind of replace our ideating and mood boarding kind of space with this collaborative interface. And go ask firms how they're using Miro. It's insane. People are using screenshots of Revit models and putting it on there and drawing on top of them to communicate an idea to somebody. So yes, the industry doesn't have collaborative authoring tools, but they're trying to glom a real-time collaborative workflow in there. And all we're posing is, what if we just took that idea into the authoring space? So you didn't have to take a screenshot of your Revit model and bring it into Miro. You just brought somebody into your model. And what that opens up at scale is that it shouldn't just be internally at your team. It could be external. Why doesn't the owner have the ability to jump in here and co-author, maybe not co-author, but at least feel a sense of presence and real time? I think what you provide as an architect, you provide a better client experience, which at the end of the day is what we're all fucking trying to do. This is the reason why VR took off half for a little bit took off, about a decade ago when SDK 1 or 2 came out, because it was, you don't have to show a PowerPoint to a client what the building's going to look like, bring them into the office and have a VR headset. That was potentially going to be a platform shift to provide value to owners, tell a better story. And collaboration is like, it's another evolution of that. You're not just doing it for the sake of it. You're doing it to provide value to the workflow.
And have you seen that like with your customers as well, that them now bringing people in, not only just like into the space itself, but it's going to be earlier, it's going to be more engaged, is having a positive impact on their business and on the outcomes that they're getting for their clients?
Yeah, I think like I've heard that from I don't know how many different customers that we have now. It's like I think that the piece that Paul's talking about, like involve your owner, bring them in earlier into the process. I think most architects, the initial reaction is like, I don't want my owner in here. That's a little bit scary. And I can totally appreciate that. I think there's like a natural person level to that. But I think the firms that are getting that, there's been at least 3 or 4 of them that I've spoken to that are talking about making that an actual service offering using Arcol to bring them into this process earlier, something that they could potentially even charge out for, which is really, really cool for us to see. And all they're doing is shortening the feedback loop. And we'll demo this to kind of like put it into, context for people so they can see it. But effectively it's going from sending a static PDF, your owner giving you feedback, and it's like, great, we'll see you in a week, to saying like, oh, you want to change a floor and see all of your numbers and your presentation update. Great. Here's what that looks like. And you just change it. And they see that update in real time. And the firms that like get that and understand by bringing people into that process, I think are going to be, the winners in the space. That's our bet anyways.
I love to hear that, because I fully encourage all firms to kind of offer different options to clients in terms of what, kind of what fee level they want. And what I recommend, rather than differentiating, those tiers based on outcomes or deliverables, is to do it based on the experience that the client wants. Right. So you can imagine a version like what you're talking about, where it can be a little bit more manual back and forth, where you're only going to touch base once a week or once a month or something like that, on progress of the project, being low basic tier, versus one where they're really engaged, fully engaged, real time, basically like you're talking, like real time access and real time service to the progress of the project, being a much higher tier, because they're so much more engaged, they're so much more involved, and they can, get feedback and get iterations out a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, yeah, I'm pumped to hear that, especially out of like I'm assuming out of like larger firms. Yeah. That are seeing the results.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's actually, it's been kind of cool though. Like, smallest shops seem to get this a lot quicker, has been my experience. And maybe that's like, whatever, just haphazard right now from the sample size that we're working with. But yeah, there's been a few smaller firms that I think are getting like, this is a unique differentiator you can use to grow your business, and you remain in control. Your process remains the same. You get to use a better tool, but you've got this unique thing that nobody else in the industry can do. It's an appealing thing to owners.
And I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, Paul. You were talking about, we started to talk a little bit about the team that's behind Arcol, but there's a huge, there's kind of like a huge trust hill that always has to be climbed and overcome. Especially, I would argue a little bit more in the architecture industry than in other industries. But can you tell us a little bit about like the team that's actually building Arcol behind the scenes, and why, as architects, we should feel comfortable getting behind what it is that you guys are all doing?
I don't know if it's our job to make architects feel comfortable. I think it's our job to provide an incredible value or incredible product experience. And I think we have a team that has done that. We're kind of not necessarily a mix of architects, and Mike is really our only professional architect, but the one product designer, full-time product designer on the team was an architect. I think what our industry has been missing for a really long time is incredible, you can call it like Silicon Valley talent, but incredible engineering talent, because there's a lot of technical challenges. And you talked about this in the beginning, that Arcol is incredibly performant. The reason we do that is because it's an incredible product experience. And as a designer, when you use a tool that just feels great, you innately trust it more. You innately want to use it more. It's not our job to communicate how trustworthy our team is. I don't think that really matters. I think what matters is the product that we build. And this is part of the reason why we GA'd, where you can go sign up yourself. You don't need to tell me. I don't need to tell you how great our product experience is, or how trustworthy we are, or how incredible our team is. If you try it and within your 2-week trial, don't go, fuck, these guys must be pretty badass, then we haven't done a good job.
And you did just launch a couple of weeks ago. So let's talk. I mean, we mentioned it at the beginning. We didn't really talk about it yet, but like, how's it been? 17 days in? What's going on?
It's been pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, it's been super cool. I don't know. I'm not going to spill all the beans here, but the uptick has been really, really exciting for us. And I think it's been far more global than I expected. That has been one thing that has been really, really cool. And I think the exciting thing to me is that, yeah, just the diversity in use case, I think has been good. Like the uptick has been very exciting for us. Like we're all super pumped about that. That's great. But I think what we're seeing is that we're building something that makes sense for a 1 to 10 person firm, and the same use case applies for 500 plus person firms. Because the pain points are really, really similar. There's different nuances, of course, and it's like, it's a different space. Totally get that. But I think what people are seeing and the core of what we're building is a really solid foundation. So that's been the most exciting thing to me. And then, yeah, it's been a lot of travel. So I'm excited to be back home now and just keep jamming on the product now. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I want to shout out Aaron a little bit, and Mike and Ratka on our team. We had the whole team in New York, which for context, Aaron is not in New York. We're split as a team, pretty much the East Coast and West Coast, pretty equally. Most teams are either New York or San Francisco, but Aaron is in Vancouver and Mike is in Crackhouse of Canada in Edmonton, and Ratka just joined our team in London. But before launching on June 2nd, we have all the team in New York for a handful of days beforehand. We, on June 2nd, ran our retooling event, which I can talk about in a little bit, but our largest event we've ever done. On June 2nd, we had VIP influencers in the office and we live streamed the entire day. We launched the product. We went to retooling. Tuesday, we kind of dealt with support and managed crazy amount of onboarding and signups. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we were in Boston at the AIA. And then Aaron and Mike went to London for next dev. So like the team's kind of been like rock stars over the last 2 weeks, like literally traveling the globe, going to all these conferences. So it's not just been like, we launched a product, how's it been? We've been meeting users face to face. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think it's been cool this week, and now that like I'm home in my nice safe office and everything, no more planes for a little while. Like it's been good to just like get into the data, like look at the users, see what's working, see where we can improve, all that stuff. So I think that part's been exciting. But like that was when you asked me, Tyler. I think the like thing that's most exciting to me is just like, oh man, people are everywhere using this, and people with all types of backgrounds are using this. So I think it speaks to what we're trying to do of building a strong foundational core product that is incredibly valuable at this stage of the design process.
Maybe just a little, Tyler, just a little more context and kind of like color on Arcol's history. So we started the company summer 2021. So we've been building this product for a really long time. And again, this is core part of the thesis that you got to spend time to build the correct foundations in our industry. But then we've pretty much been selling Arcol for about a year now. So firms have been able to reach out, get a demo. Me or Aaron, mostly Aaron over the last handful of months, has been doing the demos. We give them a contract, they sign it, and they onboard. So this wasn't like a unveiling moment, what the fuck's going to happen. We've been working with customers for a year or so now. And we knew the onboarding experience and we knew the value it delivered. The reason why we GA'd is we wanted it to be able to spread internally at these firms and for anyone to sign up and start using it. There's no more friction in having to talk to the team and get a contract to do a demo. Just sign up and use it. And so there's like been an evolution of the product a little bit from prepping it and going into beta to turning on monetization and starting to sell it to GA where anybody can start using it. Just for,
and I think one of the things that was cool at both AIA and at NextDev is like, I told a lot of architects like we're free and they're like, oh, okay, yeah. But what's the catch? It's like, truly, like, we want to make this product accessible. Yes, obviously we have a paid plan and we want to make money and there's things to upgrade for. Of course, that goes without saying. But it's like no credit cards, no games, just like sign up for free and use it. And if you find value out of it, we expect that you'll move into a paid customer tier eventually. But having something that's like a super performant, beautiful, easy use tool that is that accessible was a really, really important part of GA.
Honestly, that was
GA,
that
by
was
the way, general availability. I feel like people don't know what that
call in
means.
what that is. I was going to say that. Yeah, we're talking to architects here, not other tech people. General availability. That was a really great part, actually, because when you go to that link, when you just go to arcol.io, you click get started now. I just signed in through my Gmail, right? I can jump in through my Gmail, and there wasn't like 20 questions for me to answer or 20 steps for me to take or anything. Like, I literally right after that landed right in the product. And then it was just an option of, do you want to take a tutorial or do you just want to like jump in? And so that's amazing because that is rare, I feel like, to your point. Yeah, usually there's some kind of, there might be a paywall, even if it's a free trial, you still have to put in your credit card or whatever like that. None of that. Just get to jump right in and try the product. So you'd kind of be crazy not to at this point, I feel like, and jump in. And obviously you can see, I mean, I'm gonna like Paul's gonna lambaste me later about, complaining about Arcol on this recording. Just kidding. If anything, Paul and Aaron and this entire team at Arcol has is probably the most open to feedback that I've ever seen from a product company. So tell them what you actually think. But I'm curious, what's the kind of biggest piece of feedback that you've been getting around Arcol so far in these first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. This is not a cop-out. I'm sure there's a big piece of feedback, so Paul, keep me honest here. But I honestly think the biggest thing that I have heard from people is like, we want more. And it's not necessarily like, hey, I wish this thing in the product, we did this differently. It's like, okay, what are you guys doing next? Because I'm actually excited about da-da-da-da, which we can talk about when we get into the roadmap. But it's like, people just want us to build really, really fast and build more and take more of the process. Because it's like, once they use it, it tends to feel like, oh yeah, this is a no-brainer for this stage, but what about the next stage? And so that's what I've heard more than anything else.
I have a good answer. That's probably the best answer.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, it also tees up
We're
perfect.
perfect otherwise. We're perfect.
You're absolutely perfect otherwise.
I mean, like there's been a shitload of specific, I wish you did this, like here's a feedback on specific features, but the overarching theme has been like, I want you to see more of the design process. I want to get out of Revit more.
And I can see that. Yeah.
We've not just heard at GA, but we've heard pretty consistently since we went into beta a handful of years ago. People are, like I said at the beginning, this BIM 2.0 movement represents people want new tools. And people are hungry for it. And it's exciting because we're in a position to build it. We got lots of cash in the balance sheet. We've got an incredible team. It's part of the reason why we timed GA the way we did. So I'd agree with your answer.
I can see that. Like, that makes sense to me because as I was jumping in, even like I put together a floor plan. It's actually more of like a concept, like, it's like a concept plan because these are just lines that we're using, right? And kind of dividing, it's like an area plan, I guess, more than anything. But yeah, I do want to like draw, like actual plans into this and see that repeated. So I'm sure that there's more steps coming. But I mean, I feel like this is the perfect tee up. Aaron's cop out. No, I'm just kidding. Aaron's cop out is the perfect tee up to, I mean, let's see a little bit of the product. And then also would love to hear about what is next, especially since that's the primary piece of feedback that you're getting.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Let me see if I can figure out the right tab to share here. This should be, you guys should see this beautiful, perfect software that has no improvements to be made.
Boom. That looks good.
Okay. Nice. Nailed it. So yeah, this is Arcol. Obviously we're working in a finished model here, so I can show everybody what the modeling and stuff looks like here, but all of this was made in Arcol. All these buildings were designed in Arcol. All the floor plans I'm going to show, this was all made in Arcol. We're in New York today, and Paul's actually in the file with me as well. So you can see his little PO is Paul O'Carroll. He's up here in the file with me, and all of this is in the browser. So all of this is completely real time. The kind of like cool wow moments that we've gotten in a lot of our demos is you can have two people designing a building at the exact same time. One can be doing floor plans, another can be doing massing or work on two different buildings or whatever. So that's, kind of the short version of what we've talked about so far of everything being collaborative. But yeah, like I said, everything in the browser here, everything real time. And fundamentally what we're trying to do right now is bring all of those early stage workflows that are kind of chaotic and dispersed at this stage of design. Oh, and Tyler's in here too. Forgot about that.
I
Hey, Tyler.
just, and I was reminded when you were talking about Paul being new, I felt left out, so I had to jump.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, fundamentally what we're trying to do is now we want to connect all these workflows. So you can see if Paul's going to push pull a bunch of these buildings and make some changes, you can see all of these metrics on the side. These are all updating in real time. So a lot of folks that we talk to are working in like a SketchUp or a Rhino or something like that right now. And then they have an Excel sheet on their other desktop. And that's not a good workflow. All of those things should be connected. So as we make changes here, all of our square footages are going to update, our unit counts. You can add budgets, you can sub counts, income, parking, carbon, really anything that you want to calculate. We should have it on the right-hand side here, and that'll update in real time. And then it's not just massing as well. I can jump into any of these buildings, and my labels are a little bit big there, but I can jump into any of these massings and get into like a drafting level to start doing more area plans. So Tyler, you're saying like, I want to make a more real floor plan. You should do that because you can do that in Arcol. And you could chop up all of these different area types. You can see here, I've got a school. So this has got kind of like an education layout. All these are totally adjustable. You can change them in real time with each other and do anything you want to do inside of them. And you can also do this for like a residential use case, commercial use case, make your own typology. All that's totally customizable and up to you. So that's the modeling layer of Arcol and where all the data comes from. When we talked about kind of that like feedback loop piece of like, okay, now you got to put this into an actual documentation layer that we want to send to a client, we want to win work. That's where boards comes into play. So I'm going to jump into our boards layer on the right hand or left hand side here. I'll demo this, Paul, and why don't you push pull some buildings around and then we'll see all the stuff update in real time. So this is a presentation that I made in Arcol, and you can see Paul's going to push pull some of these buildings and just change them around so you can see it. These are all live linked views. So everything that we model inside of Arcol updates in our presentation automatically. No more screenshots, no more of that like chaotic, scratchy mess, wondering if you got the right thing on the presentation. All of that's just a plugged in view into Arcol and that updates. And it's not just visuals, it's also the numbers associated with your model. So this is for our residential building on the left-hand side here. All of these metrics are live linked to your model. You can see them jumping around as Paul makes changes there. Those are all live linked to your model. So what we typically see a lot of clients do is they'll make a pretty presentation like this that helps them win work. They'll plug in all their views, say what metrics they want to see, and then they just go model, they go design. And that presentation is just done for them. It's ready and waiting when they finish their design. And the cool part about all of this is, if you're working in a firm with an internal team, or if you have a solo practice or whatever, you can have people come into this file directly with you here, leave comments on it. You can drop any text, you can scribble on it. This is kind of like your Miro space. And this is your internal view. But I think my favorite feature of Arcol, and the thing that I think is ultimately helping folks win work right now, is taking all of this and replacing the PDF. So I'm going to jump into what we call like an external version of boards. And this is basically a link that you could share with your client. And all of the same principles apply here. It's that same view, but it updates in real time. So rather than sending them a static PDF and saying like, oh, I wish that building was, 10 stories tall, obviously not a good example, but you get the idea. And then you have to go back for a week, make the changes and that back and forth, just update it. And that experience is like a really wow magic moment differentiator for a lot of firms, be able to just show changes on the fly. I mean, that's when we talk about winning work, it comes down to that client experience. And that's what this does. So all the same principles hold true. Your data, your model, your presentation, all in sync, all live updating. And you can make that as accessible or as unaccessible as you want to your client, just depending on how you want to work. But this version of basically lets them come in here and drop comments, but they can't change anything. And that is just like a live PDF, basically.
I almost want to amend something I was saying earlier because I'm realizing now it's not the one of my bigger concerns, because I've seen these boards, I feel like all over the place, like the Arcol boards all over the place. And I had this like this back end concern that you couldn't actually design like a nice layout or board in Arcol. Because the ones that I've seen in the past were like they seemed kind of like beefy and not quite the way that people would do it. But now this actually looks like a great presentation that you're actually going to show that's client ready and client facing. So it almost makes me want to say, I mean, templates would be cool, but what would be better is like, kind of almost like layout, like different layouts that you can implement that have, paragraphs here and paragraphs there and an image up top,
Yeah.
just like these are, so that you can kind of quickly drop them in and build out your presentation like fast.
Yep.
Because
And,
it's
and
looks
we've,
amazing.
yeah, so I just want,
real quick.
yeah. So this is all a sheet-set template too. So like you can build all of this out manually if you want to. You also can just save it and it's just a one click and you say, okay, use my standard template for feasibility, and then you're just done. We're also starting to build out some cool stuff here. So I'll show you, we have this idea of metrics charts here. I'll just throw it into the bottom. But if you want to, grab a design option here and pick a metric like, okay, but the building total area for this is more like an overall site plan. We'll give you that in like a nice summary layout. We can also give you fancy charts. You can do fancy charts if you want, and you can customize the styling as much as you want to. So we're starting to build out some of that to enhance these presentations even more, but all of that's just work that we can take away for you. I know a lot of folks I talk to are like building this out manually in Excel, and that's not a fun process. So this all updates in live in real time as well, and we can make some of those reports automatically for you. And then obviously, if you want to set something up with more of like a tabular format, you can do that with your own layouts here too.
The time savings on that is insane because I know like it can take days to put these together. Across the
days, and then you have to change it. Like
you have to
take an iteration.
It changes 10 times, especially in the last hour before the presentation actually happens. So, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What else? Tell me more, Paul. Well, actually, let me ask you, because we talked about, or I think we mentioned it for a second at the beginning, but like, you did a live demo of this, right? At AIA at Next Build. What happened there?
That was really cool. So yeah, we were on stage in London, England, and I never know if I need to specify London, England. People know about London, Canada. London, Canada.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Yes, people know that. Right? Anyways, Mike and I were there, and Paul is expecting a baby any day now, which is crazy. So he unfortunately couldn't join us, but he joined us virtually. So when we demoed the product, it was Mike and I in this file doing our thing, modeling, doing my walkthrough of Arcol. And then we're like, oh, we're going to bring in a special guest. And Paul joined virtually from New York, which was about 5 a.m. for him. So thanks for waking up to that, Paul. But that was a really cool process because one of the big things that has changed in the world since that little, thing that happened in 2020 with the COVID and remote work and all of those big changes, teams are distributed. It's hard to get people all in the same place to work together. So this idea of like browser-based collaboration, it's not just an unlock for folks that are working in an office together. It's for folks that are on other sides of the world. But yeah, that was pretty cool to be able to demo that live with Paul.
Big congrats to Paul, by the way. Fatherhood right on your doorstep. It's an exciting time. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I've got, if you can hear them in the background, I've got two that are just running around right now.
Nice.
Well, this is what we have now. What's coming up next?
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to show here. So like I said, I built all of this out Mike built out this model, this very pretty model. Credit to Mike. But all of this was modeled inside of Arcol. So one thing that, you run the risk of if you don't show things that are live, again, all of this is like super intuitive, easy to use modeling tools inside of Arcol. If you're, familiar with these types of tools, it all feels pretty natural, should be pretty easy to get used to. But you're making real buildings with real data attached to them. So that's built in Arcol. Just obviously I'm doing a simple shape to kind of show what that looks like. That has data attached to it already. I can jump into that, into a floor plan and get into like proper drafting and start doing all the things that we do here. So all to say there's no import into this or anything. This is all native, owned by Arcol, built out here. So that was the only part of the demo that we didn't show. There's some other bells and whistles around, styling and generative parking and all that stuff. But want to keep an eye on the clock here. So you have to go trial it for yourself if you want to see the rest of it.
There you go. Dangle that carrot. Dangle that carrot. Well, you tell us. I mean, what's Arcol going to be at? What's it going to be like in 12 months?
Let me take it out.
No, you go ahead.
Look, I think we talked about this at the beginning, but we think about building our roadmap against the deliverables in the way the industry currently works. And so we think we've built the perfect early stage feasibility tool. You need one tool to go win work at feasibility. And actually, importantly, you need one tool to deliver the thing you're going to get paid for, which is a presentation. Now our job is to do that at the next stage of deliverability, which is SD. And so you'll see Arcol go from these kind of set of colored blocks to components and walls and windows and doors and BIM elements, and actually detailing out door swings at that very early stage. And then our job, again, we think about as connecting all those stakeholder groups at that stage. So not only perfect for the architect, but for the GC at that early stage when you're doing early stage pre-con and estimating workflows, and for the owner who's got to give feedback on this model. And then after that, it's DD, and then after that, it's CD. Like our roadmap is actually quite simple. As an architect, when you think about the deliverability, go look at an SD set. Our job is to make it so you can do all of that directly on Arcol. And not only all of that, but all of that in real-time collaboration where you start to think about deliverability in a slightly different way. So next up for us is schematic design, which is walls and windows and doors. And I guess what you would quantify as like early BIM. Looks like a real building with facades and all that fun stuff.
Where does that mean? I mean, I'm going to have to ask this question. You're probably not going to have an answer. But when are we all the way through? When do you get all the way through the all of the phase?
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I think Friday probably, Friday afternoon potentially. Let me see what the team is doing right now. Look, I think I get asked this question a lot, mostly by investors.
I'm not one of those, but yeah.
The answer is I don't really care about the timeline. I mean, look, frankly, it's our job to do it as quickly as possible. And so, you can put a 5-year shot clock or a 10-year shot clock. It doesn't really matter. The way we think about it is, have we done everything at the previous stage so we can move on to the next? And so we will be able to deliver construction documentation when we're able to deliver detailed drawings. We'll do that when we're able to deliver schematic drawings. And we'll do that when we're able to do feasibility drawings. And so you'll see it happen live. There's not going to be we'll unveil it in 10 years when we've got it working. You'll see the progression publicly. And customers will see that progress over the next couple of years. As for a specific timeline, I don't know.
Boo. I'm going to put one down there. I'm going to do like an Elon thing, and it's just going to be there in 2 years or something.
Nice.
All the way done.
Manifest it.
And then you just keep pushing it back. But well, here, I'm curious to know, like, let's talk about, let me,
considering you're going to put me on there to give an answer, let me put it back onto you a little bit.
Sure.
We're able to do it faster the more people buy licenses of Arcol. Go buy licenses and we'll do it quicker.
That's a great pitch. Help me help you is essentially what's going on here. That should be the new tagline. Help us help you. Let's talk about, I mean, like you said, Paul, earlier, you said that you've been building this almost for 4 years now, or has been for 4 years now. You've had clients, theoretically, or customers for the last 1.5 years, 2 years, maybe? I don't remember exactly. It's been a while, something like that. At least people like jumping in and actually using the product. I'm curious, after all that time now, and here we are, two weeks into GA. What's your favorite kind of customer story that's happened so far?
What's our favorite customer? I can't pick that. Come on.
Not customer story. Favorite impact that you've seen from from a customer.
I don't know. I think for those who want to read our customer stories, you can go to our website and publish them and read them. One of the ones that is not a quote unquote customer story in the traditional marketing sense, but is what our customers tell us. My favorite one up to this point has been one of the largest GCs in the US. And this is a theory that I've had for a while, that GCs will start to bring more and more design services in-house. And this design build thing, like, they'll actually just take it in-house. And what that customer told us, and the reason they bought Arcol, is they want Arcol to be the foundation of that practice for them. And that was pretty fucking badass. That's been my favorite customer story.
I can see that. I would love to see it also happen the other direction, where we see more architects taking ownership over the full project now with these tools, and start pushing more towards development, start pushing more towards kind of the full life cycle of the building. That'd be cool to see too.
Great.
100%. I think that's been some of my favorite stories. I haven't been around Arcol as long as Paul, obviously, but my favorite stories are the more recent ones and associated with GA. And I think it's again what I was talking about at the start of this. Of we have not. It's kind of like a combination of stories, because it's I don't know the number, 4 or 5, 6 of them telling me the same thing, saying like, hey, we could actually use this as a offering that our firm uniquely has. And those are architects doing that. And they are like driving that revenue cycle for their business by adding a channel through Arcol. And I think that's the coolest thing, because maybe Paul had that as part of his grand master plan here, but I didn't see that happening, of like this being a unique revenue generating tool for firms. And that's taking form already. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, the most exciting thing that I could see happening from a growth tech standpoint is, yes, please like transform and impact and force change upon the traditional practice and on that model. So I love the idea that it's already having an impact on the way that people are presenting and communicating their value, and into the service that they're providing, because that's what should happen. We should see those things also adapt along with the tools.
Yeah, I think on that, like, look, our version of the future of the industry is very different to how the industry works today. And there's a lot of things that have to change for that to happen. Contract structures, insurance, how we think about risk. But one of the important things that has to change is the software. And we are doing our part by trying to build software that enables that potential future. And I think maybe one of my spicy takes is that softwares will be the firing pin in all of that. When people see a new way to work, I think a lot of the things holding back the industry of contract structure and all the other things that all these other CEOs give a shit or care about, I think software will be part of the reason why a lot of this starts to change. You got to show people a new way to work. And contract structures won't change unless you've got tools that enable that workflow and people see value in it. And so we're working backwards from like, let's build a software to show people the way to work. And we can, again, the GC reference is a really good example of that. Where we're working with GCs to enable them to collaborate deeper with architects on a case-by-case basis. And so we're doing our part to help the industry change in software. But to your point, it's a lot of the things that have changed for that to work too.
Yeah. Good. I mean, this is good change though. So I'm all for it. So I love to see it. I love to hear it. If you're still listening, here's what to do. I mean, make sure, please go sign up. Go sign up for Arcol for free. Paul, I interrupted you. I feel like you just had like an amazing thing that just hit your mind.
No, I was going to say something that I was going to regret. So I'm glad you interrupted me.
Well, I don't know what the F-bomb count is up for Paul, but I feel like we're around 10. So you probably, I mean, there's still,
I actually think he's done pretty good.
There's still a few minutes left to do it.
Come on.
But any closing thoughts here, Paul and Aaron?
No, I mean, I think it's largely what you said. It's like this truly, I can like take my sales hat off for a second. It's like, go try the product and tell us what you think. If you think it sucks, tell us. We want to hear it. And I think that's part of what we hope to be showing, but I feel like saying it very explicitly to people of like, we want to have an open dialogue with you. I don't think that's the norm for tools in the industry. Like I can tell you the big bad guy Autodesk is not going to sit down with a 10-person firm and say like, what do you not like about Revit? I'll change that. But like, that's obviously not how that's going to work. But we want to open up that conversation. Doesn't matter if you're a 5-10-person firm or a 500-person firm. We want to talk to you about it. So yeah, try it out. Let us know what you think. And it's the reason we put the product out with a no strings attached, no funny business. Just go try it for free. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But obviously we hope it does. And we want to hear what you think. That's it.
That's perfect. Paul, what about you?
Ditto. I second everything Aaron said. I second everything I said.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for being here, Paul and Aaron. Like they said, go try Arcol at arcol.io. Go click that Get Started Now button. Try it for free. Like I said, it only took me about 5 or 10 minutes to get through the tutorials. That's even if you want to take them. You can also just decline that and jump right in. But tell me if you were also absolutely blown away by how fast this thing is in the browser, because I think that is remarkable. Amazing job to your engineering team. Eventually, I'll maybe buy them all pizza or something, because that's crazy. I can't believe what's happening there.
Yeah, it's
So
weird. It's weird. I thought people said the browser was slow. I thought there were people building feasibility software that said the desktop is the future and the browser is slow. Turns out, with a high quality team, you can build a fast web app.
that's right.
Oh, we didn't even we were at a time. Load in a bunch of site contacts, load in 2 miles of New York. That's my favorite thing to do. It's that fast. It's very, very fun.
That's a great point. Yeah. So try it, test it to its limits. And in the meantime, make sure that you go follow Paul on LinkedIn, because he's got fun, spicy takes there too, which is always fun to see. And that's how you can keep track of all of these other changes that are going to happen, and make sure that we hold Paul to this 2-year timeline of getting all the way through the architecture phases.
2 weeks. We said 2 weeks.
You heard it.
I said by Friday. I actually said by Friday. I never specified which Friday, but I said by Friday.
You heard it here first. So, nowhere else to grab it from. But thanks so much for being here, and keep in touch.
Thanks, Ty.
You guys.